Hello, everybody. It's Sunday. Just gonna hang out, chill out. Those of you who are joining, what's up? How you all doing? This time it is happening. Alex, yeah, I fell asleep on Friday night, and I was just like, oh man, I missed the stream. It happens. It happens to the best of us, I hope. Very unprofessional though. But anyway, I'm just hanging out. Alex, hope you're doing good. What's you been up to? You know, how's work? How's everything? Hey, Jose, how you doing? Good to see you here. And Alex is here. You know, I'm just gonna ease my way back into streaming. I haven't done it in a while. I've been really busy at work. And with my ADHD, I'm always like thinking about side projects that I'm like, what am I gonna do? And that just takes a lot of my attention. So I gotta kind of reel myself back in. But I hope you all been doing great. You know, I don't have any like topics planned. I figured like, you know, doing Q&A. A lot of people, you know, I see how there's still a lot of like, the job market is weird. And I see like a lot of people either giving up looking for jobs or just not even trying to learn how to code because they're like, I'll never get a job, AI and everything. And I think it's just like, it is tough, but I don't think people should give up learning or pursuing something. And getting a job is a weird thing too, because there's no like one kind of secret formula. And there's so many variables that kind of take into account of you getting hired that you have to be doing like a lot of things. And if you're doing just one thing, like sending out resumes, that's not going to go far, like, unfortunately. And so I feel like in the market that we're in, Skynet is coming. Yep, don't learn to code. I'd still learn to code. So like, I still feel like being in the tech industry and being tech competent still gives you more opportunities. And also like there's so many different variations. Like if you know how to code or you understand like technical language, like my career transitioned from, you know, being like 100% software engineer. Now I'm like somewhere like half and half because I'm a developer advocate at Strappy, where I do make a lot of code resources and build things in order to showcase how our product works, including my side projects. I also know that I have friends who work in the solutions engineer department, where every company has a product, and every product, guess what, has clients. And guess what? Those clients are using the product and they need help. And so they don't go to the software engineers who build the product for help, but every company has a team of solution engineers whose responsibility is to help to troubleshoot clients' issues and help them with their code. That's another, like, you technically are a software engineer, except your title is solutions engineer, and you're still using code to solve people's problems, but you're not a software engineer, but you still need to have the knowledge of a software engineer. If not, you need to have even more knowledge around the deployment process, because a lot of clients who use certain software, depending on what it is, they might have their own deployment solution, and you kind of have to be familiar with that. And so for me, like, there are roles, but if you're just looking for just software engineer roles, like, and you're not getting hired, there's many reasons, right? It could be your resume, it could be your skill, it could be like there's no jobs, hypothetically speaking, which I think that there are jobs. Maybe you're trying to get a job that you're not qualified for. And so, like, what I would say is try to kind of have a systematic approach on how you're approaching things, where you're able to collect data sets to figure out why you're not getting a job, and being able to kind of try to come up with a solution that could help you how to do that. And we'll talk more about it, because I love these comments. Someone still needs to know how to operate the Skynet 100%. And Jose, have you seen Terminator operates itself? Listen, But before it learns to operate itself, there needs to be a human in the loop to tell it how to get there. So I've seen all the movies. Someone needs to know how to hack the Skynet. Listen, Skynet is happening. I'm really excited for the Atlas robot that is going to be a thing. It's literally is Terminator in the making. So the future is weird, but I still am like not convinced that AI is going to replace all the jobs. Oh my God, there's so many issues with AI, and there is hype and there are good softwares out there, but oh my, there's still oh God, this just what I would say, like I would suggest to anybody who's kind of like not sure about AI, literally like dive deep and just try to get some base understanding of how AI works. So use some of the software that's available and try to make it do something like productive and something I agree with that. Has AI replaced any jobs yet? And no, it has not. And at some point maybe it will, but I think there's so many variables. Like for instance, AI is moving quickly and hardware is not able to keep up. Like for instance, we have to build these massive factories, massive resources. A lot of people talk about global warming. What nobody talks about is like, how would AI factories that we need to create, they're going to consume so much power? Are they going to be powered by nuclear reactors, or how? It's like there's so many things, like from hardware, from how are we going to power these factories, how are we going to like regulation around. There's just so many unknowns that things are gonna slow down after the hype dies down. And I feel like AI and getting a software engineering job right now, they're like two separate things. And it's not that there's no engineering jobs because of AI. There's no engineering jobs because of the economy, and the market right now favors more senior folks. But it doesn't mean that you can't get hired. And what I would say, if you're getting into the industry, you're learning to learn, or you're more of a junior side, just try to not lose faith, keep looking for jobs. And you could talk more about the strategies. And I would say that if you are struggling to get a job, don't give up. It is frustrating, but you need to really ask yourself, do you have a very systematic approach of how you're handling getting jobs? And are you targeting every avenue that you can? Because if you just use sending out resumes, and by the way, if you haven't sent out like 1,000 resumes, and you're just sending out resumes, it's going to be very hard for you. Like I talked to a girl who sent out 700 resumes before she got her job. And that's just doing the resume effort. And I think the most inefficient way of getting hired is sending out resumes. It's just the case. It's just the way it is. And so if you're just relying on that, of course it's going to be hard. So there's many things we could do. And if you have questions, like ask, so we could kind of have a conversation about it, which I do want to talk about, like the job market and how to position yourself, and what I would do if I lost my job right now. God forbid if I do or not. Like I think I'm just going to be like, this is the reality that we live in, and what do I have to do to make things happen? And so I'll talk about some of the strategies that I have and I share with you, but it is combinations of 1,000 different things that we should be doing. And at the same time, we also need to take it serious in a sense where, like, you need to have a spreadsheet where you're applying, the reason why you got rejected, like what are the things that you tried, how many people do you know in the industry that you could ask for reference or referrals. So it's like a huge topic to discuss, but we'll jump in and talk more about it as we go along. And by the way, let me know if the music is too loud or not. I could tune it down. I'll tune it down a tiny bit. Yeah, so ask some questions, and don't be shy chatting in the chat. I know I haven't streamed in a while, so I don't expect the stream having bajillion people, and it's not at the normal time. I think this Sunday 11 a.m. time is a good time. So what I think, I'll still try to stream either Friday night or 11. So like, it's so weird. YouTube is weird, like because YouTube has like I have no idea what kind of content I like to make. So, I mean, I'm not doing YouTube to make money, but I do want to figure out what content people are interested in. So you as viewers have, good time. And like a technical, I'm like, is it technical tutorials? Is it just stuff where I talk about common questions and fears in tech that helps people? And I think yeah, and I think it's talking about It's just a lot of stuff. Like, but let me look at the comments first. Blah blah blah. Hey, AI replace jobs. So that we already looked at. It's been around for a few years now, and not one job has been replaced with AI. No, not sure how to get paid version of ChatGPT, but as far as a free version, so I think ChatGPT 4 is getting dumber, to be honest. Like, I think they nuked it, and it's not as like helpful anymore. I mean, there's certainly I use ChatGPT all the time. I create tools to help me kind of save time. I think where like AI is going to be helpful is for you as a developer creating tools that help you to either learn faster or research topics faster or automate things that you just like are stupid for you to do, but for AI it's perfect. And I was gonna say good evening. And I'll show some of the use cases that I use it for. The summer's gonna be fun. Have to do a course from Metacrafter and create 12 projects in Web3. That's cool. That's awesome. Like, I'm not like, I've never dove into Web3, so I know nothing about it, but there's definitely blockchain jobs like available. And I think that this is the question that comes to is like, what are you specializing in as a developer? And if you have any questions about like jobs, definitely ask, or any questions. Like, I would like to spend much time as possible answering questions than just randomly talking. And then just general pushing a lot of personal data into AI, kind of double-edged sword. This is another thing that I'm kind of curious about. So for instance, like if you use these AI services and you're adding prompts and you pasting in like stuff, obviously whatever you paste in it is not private anymore, because OpenAI or whatever company that you're using is going to see that data. And so I think a lot of people still don't realize what that means. And what other things are happening is a lot of these companies, they're using OpenAI as a way to power their apps. So you might be using some AI app, not realizing that they're still pulling that data to OpenAI API. And so for instance, I think that's another question that we have to be like, hey, what the heck is happening and who's in control of the data, and are there regulations and stuff is going to happen? And I'm ready, broke, nothing to lose so far if you just constantly learn. So here's the thing, like that's another thing I could say, like everybody's been broke, but this is a very interesting comment you made from the standpoint, like this idea of having privilege, of been working in an industry and maybe commanding like this income where you made like $200,000 a year or what have you. And then, you know, the job market gets hard and all of a sudden you just like, you know, you have this expectation that my next job has to be $500 billion. And for regular folks out here who just want to make a difference in their life, like we don't come from that point of privilege and we don't mind working for less income. Maybe I'm just speaking for myself, but if you're just starting out, like making these sacrifices, like, hey, I'll just find whatever I can to get the experience and build my reputation and stuff like that. I don't need to make 100 grand right away. Like my story of me getting my first dev job, I literally got paid $13 an hour, which is, you can't survive on $13 an hour in America. So like I had to work 2 jobs and I had to build up my experience, but I knew that getting that first job is going to help me build that experience that led me from going from $13.75 an hour to going back, like, and my next job was $80,000 in like a year, which was crazy. But here's the thing, like if I got laid off tomorrow, and depending on my resilience of how much savings I have and how long I could afford to be jobless, you know, if I have to get a job for $50,000, as long as I could pay my base bills, like I'm not below that. I'm going to do that. I'm not saying that's my ideal situation, but you know what it is? Like, I don't mind doing that. And yeah, so it's very important to kind of see like where you at. Paul's at $800 an hour these days. I wish I was, Alex. I wish I was. I'm not complaining, but, every day I wake up, I count my blessings, and I'm like, tomorrow I'm going to get fired and I'm going to have to go through this process. And I'm going to talk about like what I'm thinking about if I ever to get laid off, or what you can do to help yourself to kind of start to play a game where it's like you either get a job or you build your own thing, or at least you get yourself out there that more people notice you, which I'll talk in a little bit in a second. Let me just look. Would you still say for people getting started, focus on the back end more than front end? So here's the thing, my perception changed from, I still think front end is the easiest thing to learn, but being around in the industry and the way like you have these full stack frameworks like Remix, Next.js, I think like you need to have an understanding of full stack. You don't have to be like complete full stack engineer, but you have to understand like what it is full stack. And I think what you need to do is to have this, like a lot of people say a T developer, it's like a T looks like this. I think of it like an upside down T, and I'm going to talk about like me and my perspective as a front-end web developer. So my goal as a front-end developer, like I think you should and still can get a job. But whenever I say front-end developer, like you might specialize in front-end, right? And if you're good at design, like being a web designer is still like an amazing thing to do. But like your base as a web developer is pretty wide. And I think like in order in today's like times, you actually need to understand, and the way I'm thinking about the full like general layout. And basically when I think of web development, I think of like, okay, it starts with an idea. You talk to a client for a problem that you want to solve. That process goes through getting the requirements from the client, building the front end, building the back end, and then deploying, you know, where it has some DevOps and deploying. Like there's a full cycle. And I think as a front-end developer, you need to start with a general understanding. Maybe you don't know all the implementation details, but you need to know how like go from an idea to deployment and that whole general process of what it is, and where you fit in that process. For instance, I'm a front-end developer, and I know where I fit into that process. I'm able to talk about the full process, and then I'm able to talk in a lot more depth about my kind of specialization in it. I think that's what we need to do. We need to have this general understanding, and then you still have to find like a specialization. And sometimes you need to niche even more based on what you're doing. And I'll talk more about it. Let me just look at the comments. And yeah, Alex is always right. Yes, I just posted on LinkedIn the project I created last week on Android Studio with Jetpack Compose. Log in and sign up with Firebase, getting good responses. Nice. If you want to share the link here, go ahead and do so. I'd love to check it out. My base is backend. Yeah. And so Alex, like, I think you transitioned over time to really love backend more. And I think it really depends on what kind of stuff you like to do. I'm getting to a point where I want to know how to, like, when I say front end in my like current place now, it's like, I just want to build a UI, but I'm more interested in writing the backend logic that makes the thing do the thing that I want it to do. So I'm not excited about like the front end part of it. Like I'm just excited about front end. Like, does my user have a UI that works? But I'm more excited about like the implementation of how things work in the backend. For instance, like here's a simple app. I'm trying like a bunch of different ideas, but here's like a useful app that I built for myself, which I kind of like. And it is, I'll show you an example here for, I'll show you, let me go to YouTube here for a second. I'll talk about a bunch of stuff as yes. So let's say like Web Dev Cody is amazing. I love this guy. Everybody should go subscribe to his channel. So like, let's say I have this video and it's like how to start a one-person business with $0. I don't want to watch it. So like now I have this app that I made. I could paste it in here and I could click generate. And what it's going to do is like, it's going to generate a summary of what the video is, which is kind of cool, right? It's like, oh, well, I could read the summary. So like, I don't have to spend time watching the whole video. Maybe I broke the app already. It still says it's generating. Maybe it's taking its time, whatever. But while it's generating, I definitely like broke it, or I didn't have enough. No, look, it's working. Look, I made it. Of course it works sometimes. So once the cool thing, like once it generates the summary, it shows you the description. I then like show you the key points, whatever the prompt is. And then I added this chat box where you're able to actually ask questions about the video. Like for instance, what are the key takeaways in this video, right? And you click it and it's gonna go ahead and like kind of tell you what are the takeaways. Build a successful online business can achieve by following 5 steps. It's important to identify a problem you can solve. So now like I saved myself time and I don't have to like watch the whole video unless it's like super awesome, and then I watch it. So I created this basic application, and the point I was making is like, I don't really care about the UI part here. I just needed to do what it does. So I used the library called ChatCN UI, but I was more interested on how does the backend work. And by the way, like if you're wondering like how this application works, it's not that complicated. I used OpenAI and LangChain to kind of create the functionality. You could, if you've never played with like AI and LangChain and OpenAI, like building an app that uses OpenAI, I think it's like a cool like experience. Like if I was a beginner and I wanted to kind of recommend someone a cool project to build where you tie a bunch of like stuff together, I would suggest building something with OpenAI, LangChain. Like if you wanted to go like an extra step, you could figure out how to use Llama 3 and not use OpenAI and how to run it locally, which is kind of cool. We could talk about it more. But what I would recommend is building, like if you're a beginner, you're looking like there's so many cool projects to build. But I think building something that's useful, that solves a problem is cool. Like for instance, I had a problem. I don't want to watch YouTube videos, and I want to have an easy way of asking questions. You know, my videos. What is one takeaway I should take from this video? And so like the reason why I'm saying is like I had an issue, which is like I was spending too much time on YouTube. And so I created an app that allows me to interact with YouTube videos through like a way to ask questions, so I don't have to watch the video unless it's like really, really good. So it's basically what I'm getting at. I had a problem and I created a solution for my use case. And if I have that problem, maybe somebody else has the problem. So this way you're building like useful applications. And so when you're starting out, a lot of times you fall into this like tutorial hell, and we're just like copying other people's tutorials that they build. I think like once you've done like one course on a subject or 2 courses on a subject, whatever it is, like just start building things that you want to build, not what somebody else has like showed you how to build, if that makes sense, because that way you're going to fall into like interesting issues that you will have to try to solve, and you're going to struggle, yes, and it's going to be annoying, yes, but at the same time you're building an actual project that has a unique use case that's solving an issue for you. And that's basically what web development is. And because it's a use case that's specific to you, it's going to have very interesting issues that you're going to run into that are going to help you to kind of walk through the process of failing and figuring out the answer. And hello, Bogey. What's up, Bram? I love Bogey. So let's check it out. So, hey, I have an idea of portfolio, like not sure if I can pull it off, like Android 3D mobile and landing page that might, yeah, you could do that. That's all awesome. As long as you're building something that's helping you like feel excited about what you're building. Alex, we deploy front end on Vercel, single next, since next is the next React. Next.js sucks, but if you wanted to learn Next.js, I only joke around Next.js sucking, but if you go to strappy.io, I don't know why I'm going strappy.io. I guess I love plugin Strappy, but if you go into blog, I started, and you do like epic next, and next tutorials. I actually started writing a amazing epic tutorial on building something cool with Next.js and of course Strappy. But here's like a point that I want to make, not because I wanted to plug an amazing Next.js course that you all should take, which is also found on YouTube. Like if you go to search epic Next.js Strappy, you will have videos right here that I'm making that walk you through how to build something amazing with Next.js, which is a cool thing that I want to talk about. So here's the thing that I want to say. Like, so I'm making content, obviously at my job. I'm making content on YouTube. I'm writing blog posts right here. If you would go to dev.to, you could probably find like articles that I wrote. So I know I'm all over the place, and hey, have a good night. But one thing that I want to say is that when you're starting out as a beginner developer and you are in like trying to figure out how to get a job, let's do some real talk a little bit. And you could argue in the comments and let me know that I'm completely crazy or I don't know what I'm doing. Alex, you shut your mouth, okay? You shut your mouth, Alex. Just remix this application here that is amazing right here, this application here that I was showing you. It is built with Remix. It is phenomenal. By the way, I love both Remix, Next, and Astro. I'm a React fanboy, so my 3 frameworks, Astro, Remix, and Next.js. I just want to be really good at those 3, just because they're awesome. And you could be good at whatever you do, Alex, you know? What do you do? PHP? You're a PHP developer, Alex? Is that what's happening? And Bram is absolutely right. Like he says, dude, my comments I'm not updating fast enough. Choose the best tool for the job, 100%. So I was going to talk about like real talk. So if you are a brand new developer and you're just sending resumes, whenever people are getting your resumes, if they're not responding to you, it's because there's not enough value proposition as you as a brand new developer for them to say, hey, let's hire this person. And so whenever you're sending resumes and you're brand new, it is the most inefficient way to get hired. What you need to be doing, you need to be building a reputation. And I have this YouTube channel not because I want to make money on YouTube. I don't make any money. It's a way, another avenue for me to connect with other developers, to build friends, to build some sort of reputation. I think my YouTube channel hurts my reputation, but that's a whole other topic. But the idea is you need to get out there. And this is why I participate in meetups. This is why I try to give talks and meetups. This is why I make a lot of stupid videos on YouTube. But I also make videos like if you go to, you know, Strappy, if you type Strappy Crash Course 2024, you'll find this video that I made, which is a crash course on Strappy. It's got over 36,000 views. You bet your butt that not only people that are learning Strappy that saw this video, but people that are potentially thinking about using Strappy at their company saw that video. And they also saw my face in it, right? Me talking about Strappy in some sort of... This is the greatest commercial ever. Thanks for watching ads on my live stream. Thank you. But they see my face associated with this video. This is on my Coding After 30 channel. And the reason why this video has 36,000 views is because it's something that people were searching. So now there's a video that shows my expertise in how to utilize Strappy as a headless CMS. I bet you that out of these 36,000 viewers that watched this, I didn't realize I'm not sharing my screen. What an idiot I am. So out of the 36,000 viewers that watched this video, some of them wanted to learn Strappy. Some of them are people who work at companies who are trying to see if Strappy is the right fit for them. And if I were to reach out to a company that's, for instance, wants to build a project using a headless CMS, and I have this resource and I say, hey, I've built a bunch of projects using this headless CMS. I know a lot about it. Check out this video, check out these other resources I created. I'm no longer like this fresh face that somebody doesn't know about because I'm starting to build this reputation and this trust. So if you're a brand new developer, I'm not saying you should be a YouTuber, but you should be creating either posts or things that you're learning or how you solve certain issues and sharing them on social just so you're getting your name out there. And some people will look at that and be like, oh, no, that's bullshit. Well, whatever. You don't have to listen to me. Like, it's a free world. But the idea is the more people know you exist and the more connections you have, the better chance you're going to have of getting hired. That's just facts. And so instead of creating stupid videos like I do, once in a while, I create videos around like certain topics. For instance, Lang, I forgot, like using Lang TS, Lang chain. I forgot what the video was. Text prompt template. I'm not sure if my video will come up because there's like a lot of topics around it. Let's scroll down a little bit. Yeah, so check this out. So prompt chaining with LangChain. So here I just search using TS LangChain with a prompt template. And so again, like, I make a lot of stupid videos, but once in a while, if there's a topic that's like very interesting, I'll make a video. And instead of like the stupid type of videos that I make all the time, like I try to make it like for instance, I did a presentation, right? Type of format with like cards explaining a certain topic. So what am I trying to do with some of these like videos when they're not stupid is to create some sort of social proof, like I kind of know what I'm talking about. So if you're creating presentations and you're sharing them on YouTube, your social, or you're creating like blog posts about like certain things that you're solving, I'm very terrible at blog posts because like they do take time, but I am, don't mind the UI, I don't really care about, but I am like working on my blog website, which is complete garbage right now, which I don't care, it's fine. But like for instance, I wrote an article which is pretty detailed called Implementing Search and Pagination in XJS by Building a Music App. And so it's a pretty in-depth, and as you could see, it's a long article. And the reason that I did this is for two things. If you're learning something, why not write about it? Because it's only going to reinforce what you learned. And number two, now it's a piece of content that's out there that's showcasing your expertise. And sometimes it will happen, you might write something that has mistakes, and what will happen is someone will correct you, and so you get a learning opportunity. So now, not only am I creating social proof around me as a developer, I'm also creating these little touch points on the social that helps people to kind of decide, is Paul actually a person that we want to hire? So, because a lot of times, if no one knows who you are, no one's going to hire you. And sometimes like people, like for instance, will go on Google. I'm not saying they do, but if like what comes up when you search yourself, right? What kind of social shows up? So if you take a look here, like I'm just telling it like it is. Look, I did a talk on the Remix channel. I did a whole talk at a Remix conference. I even talked to Dorian Develops. And then, you know, and then you see like the social history, right? That shows up to me. So if you send a bunch of resumes and someone Googles your name, and no drunk pictures, thank God. Yeah. But if someone searches your, like if you apply a resume and no one knows who they are, they might go that extra step to search you. And if they search you, you should have some social proof that helps to build your authority in the space. And if you don't have that, yes, getting your first job is going to be tougher. And I know a lot of people don't like to hear it, but it's okay. Let me go back to the comments. I know like Alex asked some good questions, like all of you. Let's see here. Yep, way too many nested loops in that generation logic. Way too many nested loops in that generation logic. I missed that, whatever. Anyway, Remix sucks. We've already talked about. Alex, I still love you, but please don't say stuff like that. Currently working on a Nux project. Nice. That's so cool. I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna Vue is the boss of frontends. I'm not gonna try Nux or Vue. I'm a React, like I'm sold on React. That I'm a fanboy. If I were to start learning to code these days, I would probably learn Vue and Angular. I probably wouldn't learn Vue. Angular, like what's interesting about I know Vue is actually really good. Everybody that does Vue, they say a lot of good things. Like, but it doesn't matter what you learn. Just become like good at it and do it long enough and then that people know that you have some sort of expertise in it. Angular is interesting because Angular is used and still in a lot of enterprise companies. There's a lot of, like, believe it or not, C# and Angular developers that do very, very good. The application that was slow, that was built with Remix, there was no slow application. What are you talking? The thing that was slow is OpenAI. It was slow, Alex. Come on, Alex. You know that if I build it, it's got to be amazing. Come on. Have you ever tried adding a Remix website to a Google Search Console? My page indexing keeps failing. I also submitted dynamic sitemap. Have you ever tried adding a Remix? So that's a great question. I think like it depends like how you deploy. I guess sometimes you could do like robot.txt file and like make sure that you are allowing your website being indexed. And I think I have indexing disabled, but your SEO, like one thing that you have to do here, like one thing that I'm gonna, hold on, let me see if I have GitHub. you just got to make sure that you are handling SEO in your application on Remix, Strappy Remix Starter. I'm actually not sure if I'm doing it in this application. So, yeah, so one important thing when you're building a Remix application is to make sure that you are handling the meta information. Otherwise, it's not going to get indexed. And I'm just trying to, I haven't looked at this application forever. I guess at routes. Let's start with index. I haven't looked at this application forever. Yeah, so here I'm using meta function. You got to make sure that root route, use loader. Yeah, so I didn't do it here that well, but here's the thing. Like, if you are building your Remix application, you want to make sure that you're adding your meta information via the meta function. I just have the title here, but you could do title description, and that will set your meta information that is used by Google crawlers. And I didn't do a good example here. I might be doing a better job with my other application. But yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind. Stream. This is still work in progress. I'm not spending too much time on it. Like, I'm like really busy, but I think I might be doing a better job here. App. Let's go to routes. Let's go to blog, slug by ID. So I didn't do much better job, but it's way better. So notice again, I'm using the meta function. And what I'm doing is I'm adding title and description. So if you go, like if you take a look here, let's do view page source, I guess. Line title. HTML link head device billing. Yeah, so so you see the meta data being added, and you just got to make sure that you're implementing the SEO in your app via the meta function. That's basically what I would say to look at. And here I'm putting the title somewhere in there. There's a description. Let me somewhere in there. It's like early in the morning. But basically that's what you have to do. You got to make sure that you're adding all the meta tags in your Remix application. You could check out their docs. Anyway, let's see here. Yeah, and I wonder if it's like, let me do this for a second here. Go to Google. I'm kind of curious now with this Google. What happened? Not Google Calendar. Oh, why autocorrect is so stupid on my computer? Come on. Coding after 30. Yeah, so I am being indexed. So here's codingafter30.com. If you click on it, it takes you to that Remix application. So yeah, I think you just need to double check if you're getting the meta information and everything set correctly. And this is project needs a lot of work. Anyway, let's look at the comments. I'll come back and then the questions. The Alex application we talked about. Alex making fun of me all the time. Yeah. So where do I deploy application? What tools do you use for deployment? So a lot of that, like the three platforms I use is like I use DigitalOcean and their app because I just want to make it the easiest way possible. I use Netlify, and then I use Vercel for Next.js stuff because God forbid I have to deploy Next.js anywhere else but Vercel. So that's what I use. Do I use Docker? No. Do I use like set up my VPS? No, I don't, because that's not like, I don't want to waste my time doing all that stuff and all that time. Like I just want to go from my application and put it in users' hands as quickly as possible without having me have to worry about making sure that things work. So I pick deployment solutions that are pretty much done for you rather than making them ourselves, because I'm not a back-end engineer and I'm not a DevOps person. If you like that stuff, like, you know, that's something you could do, but For me, it's what is the simplest process to go from project to deployment. So I use either DigitalOcean or Vercel or Netlify. Those are the three things that I do. And that's kind of like my answer. And if I need, anything beyond that, I am going to ask someone who is a DevOps person to kind of help me architect the thing that I need to do. And to be honest, I don't hate Next. Like I said, I love Astro, Next, and Remix. It's funny how you have to be a content creator to jobs. So here's the thing, like I'm 43 years old. I'll give you this like free lesson that a lot of people you eventually learn it in life, but it just, and it seems unfair, but like if you're not gonna sell yourself, no one cares who you are. No one gives a fuck. Like that's just the unfortunate truth. So you need to basically figure out how do you market yourself. Referrals work. I have ADHD, so I jump all over the place. All my tech jobs, and I'm on my 5th role, they all been referrals only. They all been from people I either met at meetups, people I met through various like places because I talk a lot, and all my jobs been referrals. And I could talk about that more, but let me come back to here. Is it like, it's funny how you have to be like, here's economics journal, everything else. The point is, it's not like you so much like a content creator. You just need to understand that if nobody knows you exist, nobody's gonna hire you. And if you're like not a recognizable person, or you haven't built the social proof, like people just not going to take you seriously, and it's unfair. So I used to run my own business. I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and mixed martial arts, and you get clients based on like referrals and people knowing who you are, and that's where you have to market yourself. So a lot of people say, I hate selling. I don't want to be a salesperson. But everything in life that you do, like from finding your girlfriend, from finding your wife, from making friends, you're literally selling yourself to this person by saying, I'm Paul, this is how cool I am, this is why you should be my friend, right? Or this is why you should hang out with me, or this is why you should possibly marry me, which hasn't worked out for me. Sadly, that's why I'm still single. But whatever, that's not talk about my personal life. But you have to sell and market yourself. And I'll talk more about this in just a second. Everyone who learns React starts with React, and that's why Angular probably less junior competition. Probably true. How do you do the slide in transition? I use an app that's called Ecamm, which sounds like it's something like you would use on OnlyFans, but no, Ecamm is software for Apple that allows you to stream and do cool things. So that's what I use. Hey Artur, what's up? Hello, a long time no see. How are you? Finally, good timing. I think I'm gonna get back to doing Sunday streams, because the Sunday streams are just so much better for European folks, and I think I need to like just acknowledge that. And Alex always gives good advice. And lots of C jobs. Yeah, C# jobs. Can't go wrong. My first job was doing C#. Do you self-host anything like day-to-day workflow stuff? I don't self-host anything. I use DigitalOcean. I use their applet. And then I use Vercel and Netlify. And then if I were to try to take the next step, I would like set up my own VPS and do that. But that just, it's so much time that's not where I want to spend my time, so I don't do it. And do referrals work? Yes, they do. Referrals are the most important way and the fastest way to get hired. This is just the facts. Like if we go on LinkedIn, and some people like, you're doxing yourself because you're showing yourself on LinkedIn. Like, I'm a real person. I don't mind sharing that. But if you take a look at all my experience from like internship, WordPress, junior JavaScript developer, front-end web developer at Point Marketing, software developer engineer at VersaSuite, software engineer at Jonah Red Hat Research, developer at Strappy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 opportunities that I had, they all came from referrals. they all came from me either speaking to someone or reaching out to someone. It was never just blindly sending my resume. And that is the truth. And some people say truth freaking hurts. It does. But if you want to, like, if you're just sending resumes, stop it. You need to build connections with people, even if it's recruiters, even if it's friends, even if you don't have friends. So here's the thing. I'll tell you a funny story. I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu back in the day. I even had a YouTube channel that covered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Like, if you are on YouTube and you search BJJ and friends, it's probably not going to be recommended anymore. But because, yeah, here it is. I'm still amazed that it still gets recommended. So I used to have a business where I used to teach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And again, like, I used YouTube to kind of get myself out there and stuff like that to build a reputation. So why am I bringing this up? This is why. When I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, all my friends were other Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu practitioners. There were other coaches. There were athletes in the field. Everybody I hung out with, the only things we talk about Jiu-Jitsu. When I decided to switch careers, I literally switched cold turkey. I said, screw Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I'm no longer a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu guy. I am now the guy who's learning how to code. Hence, we have coding after 30. And when I switched to coding after 30, like, let me work on getting hired. And this channel was started 6 years ago. I literally switched my whole mindset to this concept of, like, I am now a developer, even though I wasn't. I'm now a developer. I cut ties with all my jiu-jitsu friends. I know that sounds messed up, but I realized that hanging out with them was not going to be helpful. And all my new friends, like I met Alex, Arthur, like on YouTube. I met other people like in my area. All my friends now, like, one thing they have in common, they're all developers. And maybe that's just how I like to, like how I operate, because if I have a personal interest, if my friends don't share the same interests, it's very hard for me to be friends. I have few good friends. I have 3 friends that are not developers, and they're like brothers to me. And so, like, yes, but all my other friends, they're either in the industry, they either like coding or they like talking about technical stuff. And the reason why is because I want to surround myself with people that have shared interests. And because I'm surrounding myself with people that shared interests, I'm able to build a network of connections with folks that I could ask questions around. Hey, I'm looking for a job. Is there anything you know? Or, hey, your husband works at this company. Do you mind if he passes my resume to the boss, or like whatever? And so connections and getting jobs through referrals is the way to go. That's that. So yeah, the referrals work. It's not easy to find a good C learning source. I did take a really good one on Udemy. I can't come up with any names at the moment. I even found a good C# learning resource that used React as a front-end framework, which I was blown away. And also Coder Foundry. I think they do phenomenal work in terms of resources. They are a boot camp and they do have an online program, but honestly, I'm friends with them. And I don't do any C# development. So like YouTube, Coder Foundry. But they're the best when it comes to like there's these guys and they have an online course. Yeah, it's paid, but very good stuff. Like I went through I subscribed to their to support them for 1 year subscription a while ago when they first starting out. Really good resource. And then another guy I like about C#, good stuff. I'm sure if you learn, just do C#, the guy comes up. The guy, yeah, this guy, not this guy. Gentleman's total body. Please tell me more, commercial. I'd like to hear it. Listen, am I gonna get demonetized because of this commercial? Looks very suspicious. Anyway, Tim Corey, he has a lot of great resources on C# as well. So yeah, if you're wondering. But let me go back to the comments here. And yes, but it's a little like yeah, take selling as helping someone solve a problem. 100%. Yeah, and so here's like my first go-to would be probably be Udemy for a walkthrough, yes, and afterwards I would probably go into the docs or books. And that's like once you've been here's the thing that happens, like when you get that developer mindset, you basically are no longer in tutorial hell, because you realize that tutorials, what are the tutorials for? They're get you from not knowing anything to knowing something. Once you know something, stop doing tutorials, unless like Alex pointed out here, it's to get an overview of something. But majority, like 80% of your time is going to be spent on the docs or resources, and sometimes books. I don't have any books. I don't read. I don't know how to read. I just use the docs. But yeah, but you're basically going to be spending time in the source of truth, which is either in code or the documentation. So I'm doing research about how SSR improves SEO performance. So I made the same website using React and Remix and just compare the results. Would like to do, and this is for my SC degree. So here's the thing. If you're using Remix, what was the other framework? I made some using React. So Remix is server-side rendered, so you get back full HTML, and that will have the SEO and everything attached. Where React is client-side rendered, so you're just going to get a bunch of JavaScript, and then after it loads, it'll load the content, so you're missing out on that SEO benefit. So what I would say, if you need to have something that's SEO friendly, outside of like having like static HTML site where you have the all that stuff already like there, like yeah, doing SSR like 100% is better for sure. But that's awesome. I've never referred. I got headhunted on LinkedIn. Here's like yeah. So this is the thing that I'm saying about like, so I'm not gonna show Alex's like LinkedIn profile, but like here's the thing, like when you're looking for a job, like you need to kind of understand that the least like possible thing you should be doing is sending resumes, and that's not going to get you anywhere. It's just the facts of life. Sending out resumes is not going to get you anywhere ever, especially now. Because why? People are using ChatGPT. They're writing these bots that basically will write resumes for them, and then they will spam companies with these AI generated resumes. So it's already over like saturated with bullshit resumes that people are sending. Number two, there's no real personal connection. It's just a piece of paper. It's so easy to deny a person based on just looking at their piece of paper that majority of folks are not going to see, because they're going to get auto denied by auto, resume readers. And so your chances of getting a job via resume is super hard. So that's why you need to create some sort of like persona that it lives on LinkedIn and other social media. You're answering questions. There's so many ways to get involved, but you need to get involved in a way where people are starting to find you. Like for instance, he got headhunted on LinkedIn because somehow they found Alex interesting. And so you need to basically create these ways where either you're reaching out to people, to real people yourself and having conversations and asking them to refer you, or people finding whatever persona you have online attractive enough that they're reaching out to you. And Jim slowly plodding on. That's how, yeah. How about you, Arturo? Yep. Just chilling. Yeah, everybody, that's all we could do is slowly try to move forward. Yep. Is setting sec. My boss used to like to take control on my machine. He gives up when I install Vim emulation. And yeah, hilarious. That's awesome. So here, let's just like do like final like chat here. So there's many ways to get hired, and if we were to do a recap, if I were to need to find a job, if I get fired, how would that process look for me? the first thing I would do is I would reach out to all my friends and people I know in real life, including Alex. I would like call Alex and Arthur, and I would say, hey, I am looking for a job. Are there any opportunities that you know are available, even if it's not the company you work for? And if so, can you connect me with the right person? That'll be like the number. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would start reaching out to recruiters and starting a conversation, or to companies that do contracting work. So not contracting work me as myself, but there's companies that will contract with Microsoft or other companies. I would reach out to them. I would reach out to whoever I can to basically be, basically where I talk to real people. And the third thing I would do, and all of these things I would do at the same time, is I would go to meetups. Here's the thing. I've been going to a bunch of different meetups, like React meetup, Next.js meetup. I go to Remix meetup. I love the Remix meetups. Not only should you give talks, and they're talks of all different levels, so you don't have to feel intimidated. Just give one. It doesn't even have to be good. My first talk was garbage. But here's the thing, like every meetup, once you start building friends and they could kind of see what you know based on the talks you give. A lot of times in meetups, people will just be like, hey, our company is hiring. And you can be like, hey, I'll give you my resume. Or if they're not actively asking, when you at a meetup, this is what I do. Hey, I'm Paul. This is what I do. Hey, what's up? What'd you do? Oh, that's so cool. I like the fact that this is what you're doing. By the way, like I'm always looking for new opportunities. I want to know if anything comes up. Do you mind sending me like a thing? Or do you mind sharing my resume? Just ask people. They don't have to say yes, but if you don't, like if you're, every shot you don't take, you're always going to miss the goal. And that's the thing. And so here's what Alex says. So we need more talks on how to grow after being hired from junior and up. That's such a like, I think that's like a good talk to have. And I feel like a lot of people that watch my channel, they're in the boat where they don't even have a job yet. So like if they can't get hired, this would be like irrelevant. And this is, I think every company is different. And I think like the process is different for everyone, but I'll tell you what this process means to me. How do you go from junior to next level is, number one is I feel like you need to focus on trying to solve harder problems that are beyond what you currently feel comfortable doing. I think that's the way you do it. The more like complex issues you start solving, the more you progress. And the reason why I say this is because as a junior developer, when I first starting out, or when learning to code, I realized that I was doing things that were very easy. They were hard at first, but like building like a basic website, I'll use that example. It was very hard at first, and then it becomes very easy. But what happens, a lot of developers get stuck in this mindset where they just keep building the same easy front end app with their favorite framework. And yes, that's great. There's like, and for a lot of work, that's what you're going to be doing, but you're not growing your skill. And so what I started to do is every project moving forward that I build has to have me do something that I've never done before, or something that's beyond my understanding, like to a point where someone says like, Paul, do you know how to do that? I literally get stumped because I have no freaking idea. And that's how I know that's a point of opportunity. So I'll give you an example. I built an app that use OpenAI. I'm like, okay, great. And then I was like, I need to make it do some interesting things. So I need to learn about text embedding. So I learned how to create text embedding so you could have AI kind of be aware of your data. And then after that, I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. But now, like, I don't want to use OpenAI. I need to figure out how to deploy my own solution. So now I'm looking at how to use Llama 2 or not Llama 3 is out now. So how do you use Llama 3? How do you deploy your own model? And how do you build your app around your own model that you deploy? So that way, all the data, all the things, you're in control of that. And then after that, like, if I were to continue this path, like what would be the next step? Well, how do I fine tune an existing model? So the idea is I'm trying to not to build the same app 5 times. I'm trying to take that same app and add a level of complexity that I don't feel comfortable with yet because I don't know enough about it. So that's kind of like what I think people should do. Also, how to fit in the team, and how to work in a real project. That's another great thing because I think part of going from junior to senior or just being a web developer, there's this process of like, yeah, you have to code. But another part of it is actually being a good team player, being able to communicate with the team, understanding how to talk about the requirements and have these conversations that allow you to plan out the project. So that's another skill, is how to be a team player and how to communicate on the team, how to be a good people's person. Then Alex has lots of content on how to get hired, not enough what happens afterwards. But that's because like a lot of people are not getting hired. I think that's the issue, Alex. I think like people that are already working in the industry, I feel like every company you work for, there's a path that you could like. So for instance, what I would say, how do you go from junior to senior once you get hired? It's very easy. You talk to your manager and you outline a path. And if your manager doesn't help you to outline the path of what that means, then you're working at a shitty ass company. And yeah, not every project is a great project, it's true, and you need to learn to evolve. But I think like the two camps that people fall into, they either can't get a job, and once they get a job, how do you go from junior to senior? That's like, there's many answers to that, but I would feel like if you're at the right company, that path will be outlined for you for sure. And the last thing that I wanted to kind of mention is this idea again about getting hired. And it's a lot of work. Like, I'm going to give a caveat. So if you're trying to get hired and you're not getting hired, it could be a skill issue, like at the end of the day. And it just like might be the fact that you don't know enough to, this is going to sound really silly. I don't sound like I'm an introvert, but I am an introvert. And the reason why I don't sound like an introvert is because I realize that you get more opportunities by talking to people. So I force myself to be like, pretend to be not an introvert. And Alex is right. They're all introverts, by the way. And so you're talking to your own like brothers and sisters who are in the same boat as you. But the fact that you're an introvert doesn't mean that you can't reach out and talk to people. It just means that you're going to feel very uncomfortable doing it. And it's just the facts. But like, if you know me in real life, the way I present myself on YouTube, being this outgoing person, be like, hey, what was that? That's not who I am. I am very quiet, very chill. I don't go out. I keep to myself. When I go to Starbucks, I never like order at the counter because I don't want to talk to anybody. But what's interesting about that story is that you could be an introvert and you could learn to basically present yourself in a non-introverted way. It's just going to make you really tired afterwards, and it's going to require a lot of effort. But you need to like, selling skills need to be dude, I'm so like, you need to hone your selling skills and marketing skills for yourself 100%. You need to do that. And I hate teamwork, yes, and you have to do it anyway, even though you hate it, because that's the only way. You're working on a team with other people. And by the way, like the saying that, like, I forgot who said it, but like, alone you may be able to move fast, but with a team you'll go far. And that's the thing, like, you need to keep in mind that by yourself you're never gonna build anything of substance. You always need a team of people, and you just have to embrace it. Even though you might be an extrovert, you need to do that. So I'll just tell you a funny story. I got a job at this company called Red Hawk Research, and this is what the boss, the owner of the company, told me the first day we got hired. He goes, Paul, you're not the best developer on the team. I could have hired so many better developers than you. But the reason I hired you is because you're a team person. You're very likable. You listen well. You take other people's things that they say into consideration, and you're willing to make changes and improvements based on conversations you have with other people. So he hired me more because I was more of a team player. And this is what he said to me: because all the tech stuff you could learn, but working on a team and, you know, being a team player, those skills are a little bit harder to learn. And I think like, you need to kind of have both. You need to have your people skills and you need to have your technical skills for sure. And the last thing I was going to say, here's an experiment I was going to do. And I'm doing this as an experiment, and I don't think everybody should do this. And I'm doing this experiment for two reasons. Because number one, I want to kind of show people how they could kind of market themselves and help to build a social presence where people will kind of see like what they're capable of doing. And another thing, it's also a cool experiment to see, is freelancing actually easier than getting a job? So here's like this is the last topic I'm going to talk about. So a lot of developers that I chat to who are starting out, they try to find a job and they can't. And so they say stupid stuff like, well, I'm just going to go into freelancing. Freelancing is actually really, really difficult. And because freelancing, not only do you need to know how to code, like you need to know how to get jobs, you need to know how to charge people for jobs, and on top of that, you need to know how to deliver that service. And so I actually dissuade a lot of people from freelancing because it is difficult and very hard. And instead of like kind of spreading yourself too thin, I would just focus on improving your developer skills and just trying to understand why you're not getting interviews and just focus only on that. But as an experiment, one thing that I wanted to kind of try out, like, well, what are the chances? And I was like, think about it. You know what you could do? Instead of like going freelancing, why if you pretended to go into freelancing, but you use it as a way to build your expertise publicly, but at the same time, you kind of leave it open that you will help someone out with their problem. And let me see what Alex says here. Alex says, nobody who pays you as a freelancer will pay you to learn stuff. You already need to know your shit to freelance, 100%. And as a freelancer, you get paid to deliver. That's another great story. So here's the experiment that I'm about to play. And the point of this experiment is twofold. Number one is to show people that freelancing is very hard. But number two is to show who cares that you're not getting freelance clients, but pretending to be a freelancer. You kind of have like in order to get jobs, you need to sell yourself. So in order to sell yourself, you need to release content. So here's an experiment I'm going to do. And this is not a real business. People don't get too excited. But I just want to do an experiment. So I started this website and I'm going to quickly talk about it. It's called My CMS Corner. And so here's the thing. I'm a developer. I specialize in headless CMSs. It doesn't have to be strappy. I also specialize in building learning management systems, something that I find passionate because I'm really about education. Upwork sucks, by the way. Don't go on Upwork. If you live in a first world country, Upwork is really tough. I'm just going to say it out there. If you're in India, other places where it's very competitive and you're able to work for a way lower salary, Upwork could be a viable section. But here's the thing. Here's the experiment I'm going to run. I created this website called My CMS Corner. And I defined 3 levels of services that hypothetically I'm going to deliver. The first service is finding people who just need to basically get a website for their business. They don't need anything special. Using something like Squarespace or WordPress, like a low-code solution where I could be like, hey, this is my hourly rate. I could set up your website for you. Bam. The second business offering that I'm going to set, hypothetical, this is not a real business, is how to integrate a headless CMS like Strappy or Sanity or any one of those things with a custom front end. It could be Next, React, or what have you. And so that's the second value proposition that I have. And the third value proposition is you need everything custom, blah, 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 blah. I want to do, and then I say little call to action, which I don't have because this is not a real business, but no matter where you are, we could help you. And then I just give a little blurb here. And then here I have blog, obviously doesn't have any articles yet. And I also set up a YouTube channel, which obviously doesn't have much content. Why did I set up a blog post and YouTube? Because now if I'm a developer, and you could be a developer specializing in Shopify or developer specializing in building AI agents, whatever it is, you're gonna start writing a blog post, which just showcases a certain use case of your skill. And every time you write that blog post, you're showing someone how to do something. And you could always do a soft sale where you say, hey, today we learned how to integrate this. If you need someone to help you with your solution because you don't want to do it yourself, I'm available, and you plug yourself. So what I like about this approach, regardless, this is a fake business. It's not a real business. I'm not actually going to deliver these services. But the experiment I want to run is by writing small blog posts and making like educational YouTube videos that showcase how I'm solving someone's issue and helping them solve it on their own, am I going to get people reaching out to me for my services? And if so, great. And I'm gonna say, you know what? Let me find a developer for you who could do that job because I don't want to do it. But the point, what I'm saying is, when you look at freelancing, you're literally like a business owner who's responsible getting your own clients. That's why I don't recommend people freelance. But at the same time, what I like about this mind experiment is that you are learning how to market yourself and get yourself out there as if you were going to be a freelancer. And also all the blog posts and videos that you make about showcasing your expertise, this is something you could share in your social to kind of get yourself out there, where when you do apply for a company, they could find things that you have created that showcase that you might be the right person for the job. Anyway, that's the last part I'm gonna say about that. Let's do the last round of comments. I got Upwork to a job to do research. Hey, Paul, how to learn best practice? I worked as a freelancer. I worked in a team, and I can say when somebody reviews your code, you learn something. When you do freelancing, there is less. Yeah, freelancing, that's the hardest thing. There's nobody else to make sure you're actually doing things correctly. And so you're going to be learning a lot on the job. This is what I recommend. If you are freelancing or you're working on a team, when you work on a team, here's the cool thing. When you work at a job, you have someone above you that reviews your PRs. So they give you feedback. When you work as a freelancer, that doesn't exist. So what I would recommend, I'm actually like a big fan of web dev Cody. And I talked to him many times, and he doesn't do one-on-ones, like, because one-on-ones are time consuming. This is why I don't do one-on-ones. You can't scale one-on-ones. So like, if I were to do one-on-one, or let's say if like I wanted, basically you need to find someone who could help you to review your code, and it's gonna not be cheap. Like for instance, web dev code, I don't even abuse this, and I haven't got this proposition. And this proposition, like for me, exists because I'm kind of friends with him. But if I wasn't friends with him, like I would expect him to charge me more money. But if I do have a technical question, let's say about Next.js, I would make my code changes, make a PR, and I would literally pay web dev Cody, if I needed to, $100 an hour to give me a review, because it's a very valuable lesson. So the idea, what I'm saying is that if you're freelancing and there's something you don't know, it's on you to figure it out. And what I would suggest is having like some sort of mentor or some sort of person who could answer those questions for you. So you might be paying money to another consultant to help you figure out your problem. And that's just the way it is. But great question, Victor. But I think, let's see here. Sorry for bothering you. I want to offer promotion of your channel. Always great. Yes, my channel, I don't care. But there's, you could do whatever you want. I don't think any, like, yeah, whatever. Paul Braslavsky, this is 100% true. The girl I worked for charges hundreds per hour. Yeah, it's insane. Alex, I have a project down there. They sent me email that on 4 April they closed opportunity to speak to over friends. So I immediately poked to everyone. The girl picked up and went from, oh cool. There's, but a good one, strappy all the way. Yep, got it. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it's a hard, like, it's just, wow, like thunder's pretty loud here. The last thing I'm gonna say, basically, there is no easy way. So if you're looking to get hired or you're in the industry, like, just acknowledge the fact that being a software engineer or doing freelancing is a very hard thing to do. And whenever you try to apply for a job and you're not getting hired, if you don't have a feedback cycle for whatever your failure is, for instance, if you send 100 resumes and that's all you did and you got 100 rejections and you just sat there, and I've done this before, and you're like, oh, job market sucks. Like, no, like, you didn't collect enough data sets to make that, like, to make that decision. Like, if you got 100 rejections and you don't know why you rejected and the things you need to fix in your process to decrease that number of rejections, you're doing yourself a disservice. So like, getting hired, keeping your job, being in this industry as a developer, being a software engineer, it's a hard job. Being a freelancer is a hard job, and you just
need to do everything that's possible to stand out. And that means you will have to do a lot of work, and you can't be sitting on your butt spinning your thumbs like, what's next? Like, is someone going to pick me? That's just the reality. And that's what we have to do. And a lot of times when people complain about there's no jobs out there, complaining is great, but when you're complaining, nothing's happening. There's no actions happening. So you need to act on feedback that you get. So you need to have a feedback loop. So that's what I'm going to say as a final thought here. By the way, everybody who hung out with me today, thank you so much. I'll probably do these streams on Sundays. It's just so much nicer. I'll still do coding streams once in a while when I want to code live. I'll probably do those on Friday nights. But like exciting streams like this one, we'll do Sunday 11 a.m. I think CST time, because this way allows like European folks to have like a normal time, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., depending where you are in Europe. So it's doable. So I appreciate all of you. I hope you all had fun just as much as I did. Now I'm gonna go and try to do some coding. But thanks for watching, hanging out. Love you all, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.